Hello students. I want to talk to you about the topic of plagiarism and how I handle that in my courses. Listen, I know this can be a sensitive topic, but plagiarizing other people's work can have some serious consequences. And I want to help you avoid those. From a societal perspective, continued plagiarism without checking or revealing sources eventually creates those fake news accounts that we hear about in our media. Citing credible sources is a remedy for the fake news that we hear about in our society. All right, so let me tell you this, that no matter what university that you attend or where you go, the topic of plagiarism, there's always a warning. It's basically the same warning. Don't do it. Ethically, most Western cultures do not allow plagiarism, even in the workplace. It's defined as sharing unless you give credit back to the person who's working, whose work it is. So you always need to make sure you're giving credit back to somebody. Academically, plagiarizing other people's work has never been allowed. Throughout my academic career, both as a student and as a prof, plagiarism has always had major consequences for people. No self-respecting university, quite frankly, allows you to copy somebody else's work unless you cite the sources. Biblically, the commands against stealing are numerous, and they have a very simple message: don't do it. So Ephesians 4:28 says it this way: let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands, so that he may have something to share with anyone in need. Now, when you steal someone else's thoughts, and you're not sharing where you got those thoughts from, and you're not sharing your thoughts and influence, but someone else's, that's stealing. God has given you a creative mind. You do not need to steal somebody else's work. Now, the consequences for plagiarism depends on where you're at, but it ranges anywhere from small consequences to large, usually more severe consequences, quite frankly, in most cases. But trust me, there are consequences. So let me quickly review what plagiarism is. Quite simply, whenever you copy somebody else's work, words of their work, and you pass them off as your own, you're stealing. It's plagiarism. Now, if you cite their original source, then you're okay. In this course, we use APA writing style, and APA is very clear about when and how to cite sources. So as long as you follow APA guidelines, you're good, you're fine. Now let me answer this question of, do I look for it in your writing? And the answer is yes, I do. I won't tell you how I look, but I've taught online and on-campus courses since 2014. I'm pretty good at spotting plagiarized material, so don't attempt it. I will find you out. That leads me to the third question, and you may be wondering about is, what's my response like? What are the consequences in this course? Well, if I suspect you're copying somebody else's work and you're not attempting to give credit back to the original author, I stop reading your paper. I have a number of ways to check, none of which I'm going to share with you, of course, but just know that I do check, and if you're plagiarizing, I will find you. And what happens then is I give you a 0 for the assignment, and in the comments and feedback section of your paper or the assignment, I ask you to explain. Now, this is true for both written assignments that you submit as well as discussion questions. Make sure you are citing somebody else's work. If you're referencing it, cite it even in the discussion questions too, okay? Then what happens is I send an email and I send you an email and I copy the academic advisor at the university. Now, I have a little bit of leeway on how I handle the consequences of plagiarism in my courses, but I have no leeway on who I am required to inform at the university. Now, the university has a wide range of options, including letting me handle it or up to and including expulsion. So let's not go there, okay? Now, if you can provide a reasonable explanation of why you plagiarized, then I'm going to continue grading your paper and we're going to move on. So here are some ways that you can avoid plagiarizing somebody else's work. As you write, whether it again be a written assignment or a discussion thread, as you write, if you find yourself copying and pasting from an article, stop and cite the work, okay? That little thing inside of you that says this might be wrong, listen to it. If you find yourself copying and pasting from an online blog, Stop and don't cite the work, because online blogs are generally not, and I repeat, are not scholarly material. So don't use them at all, let alone cite them, or copy and paste from them either. Don't do that. There may be an exception here or there where an online blog might be from a researcher that's credible. My best advice is stay away from citing and using online blogs. Excuse me. If you find yourself retyping from printed work, like from a book or an article and that sort of thing, you should stop and cite the work. Lastly, if you're copying and pasting from those online homework sites, and there are many of them, and I know most of them, or one of those sites that gives you answers to homework, again, I know which ones they are, stop. You are plagiarizing, and you should not be using those sites, and I guarantee you I will find it. If you ever have questions about if you're plagiarizing or not, contact me before you submit your assignment. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you before you submit your work. And I don't want you to, like run around crazy worried about this, but if that's something inside of you says maybe you should reach out and ask a question, reach out and ask me. I want to help you bring integrity and honesty to your writing and your thinking. And let me help you do that. So again, don't plagiarize somebody else's work if you cite it, it's not plagiarism after that, okay? Finally, I'd like to leave you with this thought. Copying and pasting without giving credit to the original author really reflects poorly on your character. You are better than this. You're a college student with a great mind that God has given you. So don't try and steal somebody else's work. Exercise your own mind that God gave you. You can do this. All right, reach out to me with questions that you may have on this. And remember, God is on his throne. He's always been there, and he's always going to be.